Welcome back everybody. Today we're gonna play Gekko on Bind. Today's day 158 of playing every agent on every map. And today we're back on Bind and we are back on Gekko. Don't worry, I will have some corrode tips for you coming shortly. I think I'm gonna start with them next week, and then I will have a whole week of just spamming corrode videos, because then I will have enough time to learn the map and learn what agents are good on it, and also give you some really good tips on the map in general. Other than that, I think Gekko is a pretty good pick for a map like Bind, because with a Gekko you can get on both sides on defense pretty much really good passive map information, and also kind of have the possibility of going for aggressive plays as well. He is also pretty good on defense, and in general I think his ability to go for a defuse or a plant is one of the strongest ones in the game, because you can have a pretty easy plant with him almost every round. Also, a map like Bind is pretty hard to go for plants, and a Gekko can help you with that. Starting off with A-side defense. On A-side defense you can get permanent and short information by playing in this close corner right here and then throwing your dizzy up like this. As long as there is no smoke right here on short on top of these boxes, you can get this dizzy again, and you will get information over people playing on short. This flash will go all the way up here and flash anyone that is coming up here. What you have to be kind of careful of is if you always stand there, it can be pretty predictable, and for example if the enemies have a raise or a jet, they can updraft dash or double satchel on top of these boxes and then easily kill you, especially if they have a shotgun, so always be a little bit careful. You can also play behind these boxes and flash in the same way when the enemies are coming in, and then going for a fight on this side, going for a fight on the other side, making it in general pretty hard for the enemies to shoot this flash, and make it really hard for the enemies to take this side. Other than that, also kind of using your util to kind of stop plants with a molly like this, or even off of these boxes right here, can kind of give you a lot of time to play post plant or play stall out the enemy's plant with. Another option that you have on a Gekko is to go up here close and then combined with some other teammates, for example a raise or something, play aggressive right here, throwing a flash like this, flashing the people that are coming up here, or moving their crosshair placement so your raise or your duelist in general can peek on the bottom and have an easy kill. Then you can keep fighting with your teammate, maybe even use your wingman on one side, using a molly on one side to stop them from pushing from that side, and then more focusing on the other side and get this space. Other options you also have is to wait for the enemies to come in and then use a marsh like this to kind of stall them out and wait right here for them to come in. Other really good things that you can do with the wingman is to retake lamps with a wingman like this and then a flash like this. This makes it really hard for the enemies to destroy both of them, because Wingman has quite some HP, so they're first going to try to shoot Wingman, their crosshair is going to be down, they're spraying, and then your flash comes in and they're going to be full flashed. Even more, you can also use your marsh like this if you know somebody's in here, but this is just overkill, using all three of your abilities in one spot. But it can be pretty good to retake this lamp space, wait for another flash, and then retake the rest of the site. Also pretty strong is to just wait for your team to go in, throw a flash like this, and then send your wingman on top of the spike and go for a defuse. About the defuse with the wingman, you can use that almost every time when you see, as long as you have the kind of the space and preferably a smoke on the spike, you can go for the defuse. Another thing that you can do right here in Bath is use a flash like this, kind of more aggressive, through this gap right here, flashing the people that are coming in. This flash is pretty good because it bounces off right here and goes down, which is a pretty unexpected trajectory, and it will flash most of the people that are coming in through here. Also, you can smoke right here, use a flash like this to take the space, and then go for the ult orb right here to kind of make sure that you get another ult orb and be able to get your ult pretty quickly. Another really strong thing is to just wait on backside for your team to come in and then use flashes from backside, using your mollies, for example, close here on top of the bench, making sure nobody is able to play on bench, holding them. Same thing also with area right here on lamps, or even behind these boxes, holding the people from coming out and making sure nobody can get out. Other than that, using your ult to re-clear the space is also pretty strong. I recommend that you use your ult all the way back here and then re-clear right here on lamps, making sure to clear out all of the corners and then even jumping towards the side to get more information. The other good thing about jumping towards the side is that you can pick up your ult again and then ult again from backside, clearing out bench if you haven't cleared that out, and clearing out towards the bath area, and then trying to get somebody like this. Another really strong thing is kind of wait for the enemies to go for a plant and then throw your marsh right here close. And now switching over towards B, and on B you can do a pretty similar thing to a short. You can get B on top of these like wooden panels and then throw a flash all the way up here every round, even wait for your flash to recharge, pick it up again, and then make sure that it is really good for you to get a lot of information like that. As soon as your flash has recharged, you can go for the same flash again, throw it straight up, wait for it to select anyone in long. If there is nobody in long, you can pick up the flash. And if you have information over they are being on A, you can then go back and get an easy retake with your Gekko. Other than that, you can also play in the hookah area right here. Waiting in the smoke is actually a pretty good thing. Waiting here in the smoke, then as soon as you think the enemies are close, you can throw a wingman and a flash to kind of stall them out. Even better if you sit in the smoke here close, and then using a flash like this to have an even better combination, making it really hard for the enemies to dodge this combo. Other than that, you can also kind of wait on site, wait for them to go for a plant, especially on elbow, by playing here close. As soon as you hear them going for a plant, you can use a molly like this that gets most of the default plant spot area, or you use a molly like this to get them off of every plant spot, or just spray through this smoke and do a lot of damage to the enemies as well. Also getting kind of information where they are at by using a flash behind the smoke, going straight up, and then you see where the dizzy flash flies to, and then trying to spray this exact area. Other than that, getting into elbow can also be pretty useful on a Gekko. For example, using your wingman like this, and combined with flash, taking all of the space, reclaiming your dizzy, reclaiming your wingman, and then you have them for the rest of the retake again, sending him on the spike to go for a defuse is also pretty strong. For your ult, I don't recommend that you use your ult aggressively, but what you can do, especially if you have a smoker that plays with you, is to ask for them to smoke the long area right here, orb right there, and then get easy orbs and easy ults for your team to retake with. Another really strong thing is, again, I showed you this flash right here, but you can use another flash combined with this flash, for example, a Euro flash going out of long, or a breach flash, to kind of make it really hard for the enemies to play on long. They're gonna get flashed by your flash, or they're gonna get flashed by your teammate's flash, then you can peek out and get a free kill on the people on long. Also, mollies to stop the enemies from coming in, close here, or even in the entrance here of hookah. For your ult, I recommend that you clear out the common spots, play close here. This is more or less a safe spot. Check backside, check inside of tube, maybe even check backside like this, and then go either towards elbow if you don't have elbow information, or you can even go towards long. Check out here close, check if somebody is backside, and even go into hookah if you see somebody there. Same thing again also with long, you clear out long. If you have the sight, you can even ult from backside, clear out more of the long area. Maybe even get people to TP in a post plant, which is a pretty bad idea for the enemies, which can win you a lot of rounds. Now switching over towards attack, and something I really like doing on attack to kind of stop the enemies from picking me close is to use a dizzy like this. It will flow back, and you will get an easy way to pick it up again. And even if they throw some util here on main, you can easily get your wingman back, just wait a little bit and then go back. Like that, you can also make it really hard for the enemies to do an aggressive push. I mean, sometimes they're gonna break it, but if you throw it every time, they're gonna break it, and then you have a teammate peeking out here, getting a free kill on them can be also pretty strong. Other than that, if you don't have this information and you're coming from B, for example, you can use a wingman like this to clear out the close area. This wingman will detect most of the people that are playing in this area. Sometimes it is a little bit buggy and it will not detect the people that are in this close corner, so it is always possible to check this close corner again, and then you can pick the wingman right here and even use him for a plant. Talking about plants, I will show you more on that in the bonus segment we have at the end of this video, so if you are just here for that, you can skip to the end and just watch the bonus segment where I show you all of the best plants on a map like Vine. Other than that, for taking the hookah space, you can use a molly like this, even use a wingman combined with flash again. Making it really hard for the enemies to defend this, or you can even just use a flash and then peek with the flash, because the enemies are going to be shooting at the flash, having a bad crosshair placement, and you can just peek around the corner and get a easy one tap. And now switching over to the bath area. Bath is pretty good with a Gekko. You can use a flash like this. You can even use a flash in the beginning of the round like this to kind of get information over anyone trying to push aggressive, and then use your wingman to push the enemies even further back. This can be pretty strong. Careful about this close corner. The people can most of the time still be here, and then you can take this ult orb right here and have your ult for a side take. This is pretty strong on a Gekko. Again, farming ult orbs is pretty good, because on a Gekko you're most likely going to be the person that plants. If you get an ult orb and plant each round, that means you get 2 ult orbs. Even if you die, you get another one. If you get a kill, you get another one. That means you're already almost halfway up your ult, and you can get your ult a lot of rounds. Other than that, if you're coming from here and trying to go out, I recommend again the wingman flash combo, or just using a flash even through this window up here can be pretty useful. It is not the best flash, but it will flash the people that are playing close here, and it's really, really hard to dodge for them because they have to flick all the way up here. It will go above them and make it really, really hard for them to play in this close corner. If you know but somebody is close, just use a molly like this, either high up, trying to get it on top of these boxes so it also covers this, else it will just cover the close corner right here and will also get you a lot of information. If you throw it all the way close here, you sometimes can get it on top of the boxes, but it is pretty hard. The other option would be a molly like this, but this molly is just not good enough to warrant the risk you take while throwing. Even just going close here, throwing a molly like this can be pretty good. Just keep in mind, people can stay on top of these boxes all the way on top and they will not get cleared out. The bench is fine, but not the top of these boxes. Other mollies that are pretty strong are ones towards backside, because Gekko's molly is pretty strong. It will cover all of this area right here and make it really hard for the enemies to play in that. Or even towards heaven with a molly like this. Other things that you can do is use your wingman as a fake. For example, if you're on an eco run, just send him out running, making sure you make a lot of noise, make the enemies think, yeah, you're going for a plant, so they're rotating over, and you can get a free sight on the other side. If you're using your ult to clear out from right here, which I recommend you play around this corner, checking out close here, backside, and then jumping towards CT, either catching rotators off guard, or catching the people that are trying to come out of lamps. The other option for an ult is one from short. By the way, if you're using an ult from short, I recommend that you go pretty far back because of a raise nade. Take your mollies or just any damaging util, getting you out of your ult, clearing out the lamps area, and then popping your ult. This is also pretty strong because you can then repick your ult in a pretty safe spot, as you can see here, and then use it, for example, if you're going for a plant, or use it to deter the enemies from going for a retake. So for example, if you hear them coming out of CT, going like this, and then insta popping your ult, getting the people that are close is pretty effective. Another really strong thing is, again, just waiting a little farther back, using your flashes in various ways, or using your molly to play post plant with. So for example, like this, same thing also from short, or if you have planted right here, you can also use it in this way. If you're trying to do a fast rotate towards B, a thing I recommend is to use your dizzy to go through the TP. So you go like this, and kind of open the doors, or you throw your dizzy even through the teleporter before. So you go like this, and then fight the people that are playing here close. This can also be done, by the way, by a wingman. Another interesting trick is especially useful if you're in a 1 versus X, is to kind of go for a plant like this. You plant and then you TP, so you send your wingman through the TP. Your wingman will walk all the way back towards A, so you can kind of fake out the B side. As long as your teammate or you don't die, your wingman will go back on A and plant. It can be risky sometimes, it works sometimes as well, but it is a really risky thing to do sometimes. Now switching over towards B, and if you're going B, I recommend that you're using a flash here almost every round. This can be pretty good to kind of deter enemy aggression. Most of the times there's going to be an enemy close in hookah or trying to push out of hookah, or if they play a little more passive, you will not need this flash. But this flash can kind of save you from getting peeked here aggressively and make it really hard for the enemies to either destroy it and get away safely, or just in general make it really hard for the enemies to play aggressive here. Other than that, using your flash like this to get information over where the people are at, same thing also combined with your wingman. Using your wingman, flash, and get information like that can be pretty strong, clearing out one side, even with a molly. If you use a molly like this, on top of these boxes is safe, the rest of the area will be covered, so it makes it pretty hard for the enemies to get out. So just keep in mind to check these boxes first, and then use a molly like this to clear out this area. Same thing can also be done on the other side, by the way, but again, boxes here are safe, and even the area outside is pretty safe, so they can jump in pretty easily again. Also pretty strong to clear out this area, but that is something you have to kind of worry about, is your ult. If the enemies decide to go for a GP play, you are most of the times in a pretty open situation, in a pretty open spot. So going a little further back is a pretty good idea. Now switching over towards long, and on long you can use flashes to take this space like this, or even a little further back like this to kind of get against the AWP players. What you still have to worry about is flashes, but that is something that you have to worry about all the time. If the enemies have a flash agent that likes to play aggressively, this area right here on long is a pretty common area where they go for that. Other than that, clearing out this close corner with a wingman, Or what I've seen in some pro play games is they have a lineup for this area right here, because Mosh covers all of the area right here on Octagon, making it really hard for the enemies to play in this area. So you can also, if you find a lineup that goes through the roof, or a lineup that is from long that covers all of this area, it is still a pretty good thing. Getting out of long can be pretty tricky sometimes, so I recommend you go for a wingman flash combo, or you flash with your teammate. For example, you have a Euro that is flashing out of the smoke, or a Breach that is flashing out of the long. Flash, and then make it really hard for the enemies to take this space. Flash with the Breach first and with the Dizzy second, because if they dodge the Breach flash and you throw your Dizzy, they will be looking away and have a really hard time shooting the Dizzy. And if you shoot your Dizzy first, they can shoot the Dizzy, dodge the Breach flash, and then they will have an option to kind of fight you here on area. Other than that, using mollies towards backside, towards CT, or towards elbow, or even in this close corner right here to clear the people out playing close is a pretty good idea. Most of the times the ones towards backside are gonna get the most value, because you force the people to go out towards either side, or force them to go in towards Cube, which is a pretty bad spot. Another really good thing about a Gekko ult is that you can use it here from low. Clear out here close, clear out the elbow area, or clear out the side, get information over side, and even try to detain people close. You can then retake this ult again and make it pretty easy for your team to play post plant with it. You can use it in a similar way to a, for example, a molly. If you ulted from hookah, you can also obviously ult out of hookah again. Just make sure to jump, and then you can jump directly onto somebody, or clear out the side like that. You can also use your ult to clear out long, but long is not really worth most of the times. What you can do sometimes, if you have your ult back again and the enemies are trying for a retake, is to clear out the elbow area, because elbow is a pretty vital spot to go for a retake from, and like that you can also get information over people coming out of CT if the enemies don't have anyone on elbow. Bonus segment! And now coming over to our bonus segment, and this time I'm gonna show you where the best plant spots are. The one plant spot most of the people of you know is this one close here. This is not a bad plant spot. You can play from short from it, you can play from lamps from it, you can also play from bath from it. It's a pretty good spot, and it's also a pretty open spot, but it is kind of a risky one. You have to make sure that you have the site, or that you have some util to support your plant with. So if you go for a plant right here, I recommend that you either have a Dizzy ready, or you have another util that another teammate that has flashes, mollies, or just something to stop the enemies from killing your wingman. Other than that, you can also use your wingman, by the way, to fake. So this spot right here is a pretty good spot. It is also a pretty common spot, so you expect some util being here. Another really good spot is at these boxes. It is still pretty open, less open towards short, but more open towards the areas right here on bath. Also more open towards lamps, also a little bit open towards backside. So if you're going for a TP play, most of the enemies are on B, and you have A side almost for free, you can go for a plant right here. This plant right here is a plant you can go for in eco rounds, or in rounds where you are just hitting from bath. This plant is not the best one. You can use it pretty well if you have post plant mollies, but it is still a pretty risky spot. Also, even if you are from bath, it is still pretty hard to spam, because you don't really have a reference point. So plant here if you are on an eco round, or if you have a lot of mollies. And the last plant spot I'm going to show you is one right here. It is this one where you have a sage wall going through here. This is a pure eco round plant where you go for a plant to get ult orbs, and it can work sometimes. One more plant spot that is really situational, but can also be pretty good if you are going from behind. For example, you have taken the B side, you hear like 4 people TPing, you killed the other enemy, you can go all the way through spawn and plant right here. This is also a pretty good spot, but it is really situational. If you plant right here, you have your teammates right here in tower, in lamps, in CT. Just in general, you have more of a defender setup. So if the enemies are pushing out, for example, A with a TP, or they pushed out of A and you push through B, and you can go back towards the A side and plant right here to have a pretty good post plant spot, but you need to have your teammates right here in this CT area and need to be able to hold that area pretty well. And now switching over towards B. And on B, there's a couple of plant spots that I see. In my opinion, the best one is this one right here, where you get it on top of this ledge and plant it really open, because this one is open towards elbow, long, and hookah. Also a little bit towards the copy right here, also a little bit towards backside, so if the enemies are going all the way up, you can see them from CT. This plant spot is, in my opinion, the best one. It is not default plant spot. Default plant spot is behind these boxes right here. This is also a pretty good one. It is less open towards the copy area and less open towards the elbow area, but it can still be used most of the times if you just want to go get in a quick plant. And it is still pretty open towards hookah and towards long, which are the most common post plant spots that your team is going to be in. A really bad plant spot is one inside of this tube, because again, your team can't really see this spot if they are in any other place than right here. and right here in the copy area. Maybe from spawn, maybe if you have molly lineups, but in general, don't plant in this area. And the backside plant is a pretty situational one again. Planting on backside can be pretty good. Make sure it is just really open to as many angles as possible. For example, this corner right here is insanely good because it is open towards hookah, open towards CT, and open towards this backside area here as well. If you plant in this corner, that is a bad plant spot because it is really safe to go for a diffuse there. So make sure it is pretty open. So for example, at these boxes or on this line right here. But in general, don't plant backside. You need to have the CT area here in halls, elbow, also a little bit of the side area to kind of defend that plant spot, so it isn't the greatest one. If I had to give Gekko a rating from S to F, I'd actually give him the A tier. In my opinion, he could almost be an S tier agent. He is really strong. He can be the only initiator you play on this map because he also gives you some information if you're on defense, which is a pretty strong ability. Also, he has flashes, he has mollies, he can use his ability a bunch of times, and he is also pretty strong on retakes, which in my opinion makes him a pretty good agent. That would be it from me. If you want to see any other agent on any other map, write it down in the comments, and if you want to see anything else Vant related, write it down there as well. And as always, don't forget to like and sub, and come say hi to me on Twitch, where I stream almost daily. Have a great rest of your day, and see you guys very soon. Bye!